My name is Emily, and I'm 54 years old. I consider myself a typical housewife that you can find anywhere, but according to my sister-in-law, I'm someone who doesn't realize how blessed they are and doesn't know the struggles of a normal life. I'll elaborate more on that later. My husband, John, is also 54 years old, the same age as me. We both work full-time, 5 days a week. For the record, we don't have any children, and because of the good location of our house, my sister-in-law has said to me, "You don't realize how blessed you are, and you don't know the struggles of a normal life." Our house is close to the city and county of San Francisco, and naturally, it's within walking distance of Powell Street Station. This property originally belonged to my grandfather. After he built a house on it, my parents took it over. And when both of my parents passed away, my husband and I moved in. My sister-in-law, Rose, who points out how blessed we are, is 46 years old, which is 8 years younger than me. She loves San Francisco and occasionally visits our house. About once every 3 months, she leaves her husband and 12-year-old child at home on weekends and appears at our place, which is about 2 hours away. This sister-in-law is 8 years younger than her husband, Mike. She was born when Mike was in elementary school, and she was a very adorable child. He often talked about how lovely she was. Rose's parents seem to have raised and pampered her quite well, being the youngest child. But honestly, I just can't come to like her, especially when she makes envious remarks like, "It must be nice growing up in such a privileged place without ever experiencing any hardships. I was born in the middle of the countryside, where there wasn't even a place to play. But you, Emily, probably lived without facing such difficulties, right?" she often says. She makes these sarcastic comments every time we meet, so I can tell that Rose doesn't think highly of me. Yet, she still loves San Francisco and comes to our home. Of course, she has never once brought any gifts or souvenirs. "There's no point in bringing souvenirs from the countryside. I'd just be ridiculed," seems to be her excuse. Every time she visits empty-handed, she comments, "It's amazing that you have Chinatown so close. You must not face any difficulties. It's not inconvenient at all without a car, right? Where we live, in the countryside, a car is essential, so the transportation costs are very high." When I respond, "I think where you live is wonderful too. The air is clean and the neighbors are friendly," she retorts, "What's that supposed to mean? Are you mocking me? Are you trying to say that here is convenient and there are lots of shops?" Even when I explain, in reality I don't go out much, I work during the day, she interprets it as, "So you're saying we have tourist spots nearby, unlike you?" It becomes difficult to tell who is being sarcastic. Given Rose's frequent sharp remarks towards me, I've complained to my husband. But all he says in defense is,
"My sister is just frank. She's the type who can speak her mind easily."
Then, one day, I learned that Rose was building a new house. I asked her about it directly when she came over. When I inquired, "A new house? That's great. Where?" she replied with her usual sarcasm. Near our current house, of course. We are buying the land, not inheriting it as you did. It must be nice to be rich. No matter what I say, she responds with a hint of irony. I'm not intending to come across that way. At my wit's end, I finally asked, I've been wondering, is there a way I can phrase things that won't upset you? Can you just not say anything? Every time you speak, it feels like you're just being sarcastic, you know? I was left speechless. Since then, while Rose still visits our home, we've stopped talking entirely. Yet, the frequency of her visits has increased, all because my husband allows it. Hey, why is your sister ignoring me and just relaxing at our house? I asked my husband. He replied,
I told you, she operates at her own pace. She probably leaves her husband and kids at home, so we don't have to fuss over them. It means you don't have to worry about her either.
But that explanation needs to be more satisfactory. Today, she came back from playing in Chinatown, took a bath, and just went to sleep. The next morning, she eats the breakfast I prepared and leaves without even a word of thanks. Is our home just a free inn? Am I the innkeeper here also playing the roles of the cook and maid? If that's the case, I'd like to issue an annual pass and hope she buys it. 3 months later, Rose visited our home again. Today, she seemed to have plans to visit Chinatown for sightseeing. However, in the evening, she seemed to be having an in-depth conversation with my husband. The next day, after Rose left, my husband excitedly showed me several photos.
Look at this, it's my sister's new house.
Oh, she finally completed it?
Yes, look. Emily, you'll like it.
He showed me the screen of his smartphone, which displayed a photo of a pristine white house. Indeed, it was a new and beautiful house. But do I need to be fond of Rose's house?
Check this out. Isn't it amazing?
He said, flaunting another photo quite deliberately. The shown photo at a glance looked like a garage. However, judging by the size of the cleaning tools in the photo, there was no space for a car. Is this...
Exactly. It's amazing, right? I like it.
He said with a satisfied smile.
This is a garage for bikes, and it's all custom built. It's a perfect size for my Harley.
Wait, what? I was so surprised that my eyes widened.
I told you, it's the perfect fit for my Harley.
What did you mean fits your Harley? This is a photo of your sister's house, isn't it?
Here, Rose and I have been discussing it for a while. We talked about swapping houses.
What? Why? I was so shocked by this sudden revelation that I dropped the tea bowl I was holding.
The thing is, Rose has always loved the location of this house. And I've mentioned how I'm not too fond of this old house. So when she decided to build a new one, she suggested,
why don't we swap houses?
That's why she's had a bike-specific garage built for my Harley.
What? What does that even mean? So... I was so stunned that I couldn't find my words. You can't just decide that on your own. I have no intention of leaving this house. It's not that I dislike the house Rose built. I was just taken aback by the fact that such a discussion was happening without my knowledge. Whether John hadn't anticipated my reaction or not, he started to get increasingly frustrated. No, I was the one who didn't see this coming.
Why are you so hesitant? I've been discussing this with Rose for a long time.
That's between the two of you, isn't it? I wasn't informed about any of this. You're asking me to just accept this when I've been left in the dark this whole time.
But think about it. Isn't it all good? It even has a garage for the bike.
That's not the point. What about how I feel?
You like watching suspense shows, right? The new house has a TV, so you'll be fine.
John has a passion for biking. He deeply loves his Harley Davidson and cherishes it more than anything. On the other hand, my hobby isn't as deep. I enjoy watching suspense dramas on TV. What about my commute time?
You'll just spend a little more time on buses and trains.
A little? It will increase by 2 hours.
I have my Harley, so I won't have any trouble commuting. Maybe you should consider getting some exercise too. You've been gaining a bit of weight lately. This might be a good opportunity for you to go on a diet.
A diet? Such audacity! He hasn't given any thought to how challenging the daily commute would become. But John's heart was entirely captivated by the idea of the new house and dedicated garage for his Harley. Furthermore, he couldn't comprehend why I was so attached to our old-fashioned house, and his mood grew increasingly sour. He probably hadn't expected me to be this resistant. Eventually, John resorted to a drastic approach.
Anyway, our house now belongs to Rose. The new house comes with a garage for the bike. It's ridiculous to refuse such a condition. If you decline, our relationship is over. We're getting a divorce.
He exclaimed, his voice tinged with desperation. Wait, did he just mention divorce? Is he serious or is it just a threat? Honestly, is it worth saying that? I wondered. Okay, but give me until tomorrow to think about it. I couldn't find any other words to say. That night, I spaced out in bed for over 2 hours. The newly constructed house, especially the bike garage, was built with John in mind. Because Rose's house doesn't have a bike at all. The very fact she built a house might have been a plan targeting our home from the start. And my husband, to be swayed by such an absurd plan, is something else. That statement from my husband,
Refuse and we divorce,
was unmistakably a threat to me. That night, I made up my mind and spent the whole night gathering information using my smartphone. The next morning, I told my husband that I accepted the move. But we'll need 2 weeks to pack. We both have jobs after all. Until we leave the house, your sister and her husband won't move in, right?
That's right.
You specifically got a garage built for the Harley, right? If that's the case, I want to hand it over in the pristine condition. Can we hand it over to your sister and her husband after we've moved out and 2 weeks have passed? We'll hire professionals to thoroughly clean it. My husband agreed to those conditions. After that, without letting my husband know, I contacted some people. The 2 weeks leading up to the move flew by surprisingly quickly. On the other hand, my husband was carefree, singing his self-made bazaar song.
Harley, oh Harley.
He excitedly packed his things. Occasionally, he'd call Rose asking things like,
How big is that room on the second floor?
and seemed to be envisioning the furniture arrangement in the new house. Naturally, it seemed like Rose had been asking questions about the layout of our house as well. Rose and Mike will be moving from their current apartment to here. 4 weeks is a very tight schedule for preparing a move. As expected, they seemed to be hastily preparing for their move. And then, the day of the move finally arrived.
Hello, this is Rugby Moving Center,
said the moving company when they arrived.
Oh, please come in. Right this way.
My husband cheerfully welcomed them. Just then, Hello, Triangle Transport here! Another moving company announced as they arrived.
Huh?
My husband exclaimed in surprise. I silently walked past my husband and said to the second arriving company, This way, please.
Hey, what's going on?
My husband raised his voice in confusion. What's the matter? I told you we were moving, right? We're both moving to new places. Oh, Triangle Transport. Please take the items with the yellow tape. The rest will be handled by Rabbit Moving Center. I swiftly gave directions. 1 hour later. Well, thank you for everything up to now. I'll start the divorce proceeding later, so please cooperate.
Wait!
You were the one who first suggested divorce, right? Without looking back, I left in the taxi I had called. But the destination was just nearby.
Over here! You must have had a hard time.
The man who was waiting approached me. It was my brother, Dave. He came to help with my move.
Finding a new place in just 2 weeks. You're pretty good.
Well, it's just a typical rental place.
That's no problem. Once you're settled, you can find a proper place, but it must have been tough.
Tough? It was a major event. Anyway, the essentials for a living are marked with yellow. I should manage with that. My brother helped with the move. While the moving company handled the big items, he helped with the smaller details, carrying heavy items, setting them up. Having a man around is truly helpful. Thanks to my brother's help, the move was completed that day.
Well, I'll contact you again in 2 weeks.
With those words, my brother left. And then, 2 weeks later, yes, counted from the day I moved into this new house, my cell phone's ringtone echoed, as expected. Hello? Seriously? What on earth are you thinking? Without uttering a word, I just listened to her complaints. The house is gone! Suppressing my laughter, I lowered my head. I felt like bursting into laughter at any moment. What happened to the house? It's now a vacant lot. Why aren't you saying anything? Because you told me to keep quiet. Nah! Rose screamed in frustration. Hearing her voice despite holding back, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. It seems she was with her husband and called me. You didn't have to go this far, he shouted, his voice trembling with anger. I don't want to be threatened by you. I wish he'd stop. I can't stop laughing. Remember when I said I wanted to hand it over in pristine condition? You heard that, right?
That's not what you meant.
What do you mean? I left in the cleanest state possible. I made it spotless. Mike clicking his tongue. He showed his evident irritation.
Anyway, come over here. Let's talk.
There's nothing to talk about.
If you refuse, I won't write anything on the divorce papers.
Huh? You said just recently that if I didn't move out of that house, we'd divorce. Why are you saying the exact opposite now?
Enough.
Fine, I'll come over to your place, but it's a bit. So I'm bringing someone I trust with me. With that, I reached out to my brother.
It's my time to shine. I'll get ready and head over.
I can always count on my brother. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. In a tone reminiscent of some ceremony, Mike, who I hadn't seen since the wedding, began to speak. Mike gives the impression of being timid and modest. Myself, my brother, my husband, Rose, and Mike all sat around the table in my husband's new house. It seemed like the children were told to stay in the next room. However, the entire situation was undeniably odd. Rose had been looking forward to moving that day, but upon arrival, the house that was supposed to be hers was gone. She looked stunned at the vacant lot, seemingly at a loss. Since she had already terminated the lease of her previous apartment, there was no going back. It seems she hastily moved her belongings to the apartment my husband was going to live in. As a result, there were duplicate pieces of furniture, like cupboards and tables, making the room packed. Having two of each piece of furniture felt eerie. It felt like a blunder during a live TV broadcast. Why did you destroy the house? If this is some sort of spite against me, isn't it excessive?
This is no joke. Were you jealous of my sister's straightforward and outspoken nature? Going this far, I never thought you were this malicious.
The two of them were making a commotion. I couldn't help but laugh. That land and house were inherited by me. It originally belonged to my grandfather, so it's only natural what I do with it as I please. What? My husband looked shocked. At that moment, my brother stepped in to clarify.
In short, the land and house were inherited by my sister, so it's her personal property, not shared property between you two. That means you don't have the right to decide things like exchanging the house with Rose.
What's this all about? Wait, seriously? Both Rose and my husband looked utterly surprised by this unexpected revelation. You couldn't have explained that from the start. Exactly. You should have told us. My brother and I are always in sync. They both implied that it was my fault. You threatened me with divorce if I didn't move, and Rose, you were always ignoring me and telling me to stay quiet. There was never a right time to tell you.
Rose, you were ignoring my sister, right? And you, John, were threatening her with divorce. It was exactly a situation where she could just speak up.
My brother and I unanimously retorted. It seemed our sibling perspectives were aligned. And even if we were to divorce, that house is too big for one person. That's why I decided to demolish it to sell the land. Right after my husband hinted at a divorce, the two places I contacted were my brother and the demolition specialist. I was told by the specialist that the demolition would take around 10 days. It takes about 2 hours to get from where Rose lives to our house. That's 4 hours round trip. Given the short time frame and how busy Rose must be, there's no way she could make time to visit the house. My husband, who had moved to a newly built place near Rose's apartment, was in the same situation. As a result, I was able to deliver an unexpected counterattack on my husband and Rose by having the house demolished. You need to be more responsible. We've paid for moving twice. From the apartment to a now non-existent house at my brother's place. What are you planning to do about the house we were supposed to live in? That's not my problem. You both decided everything on your own. If you intended to intrude on my land, you'd deserve to be sued, wouldn't you? Instead of becoming criminals, isn't it fortunate that the land was just empty? I smiled coldly. I then told my husband, making a fuss about money over this. How is this going with the flow? Quit the story.
Ignoring someone isn't what going with the flow people do either.
He casually remarked. Excuse me. Were you two proceeding with this moving plan without Emily's consent? Mike, who had remained silent until now, asked the question. Yes, Rose told me to keep quiet and kept ignoring me, while my husband informed me after the fact and then almost threatened me with divorce. They seemed to have gotten all excited by themselves. When I revealed the truth, Mike shouted, Hey, what have you done? You regularly go to places like San Francisco and Chinatown, spending lots of money and leaving our child unsupervised. You even sold our car, claiming we wouldn't need it in our future life. If we were living here, a car is essential. Yet, you didn't create parking space, but made storage for a bike you don't even own. You're involving not just family, but others as well. What on earth are you doing? Why are you so angry? Rose must have been seeing her husband this angry for the first time. She seemed quite shaken. Emily. Mike continued his words. She came to me saying, I'm going to take over Dave's house and move in. If you don't like it, we'll divorce. What? Do siblings think the same way to this extent? It's so hilarious that I can't help but laugh, holding my stomach. If I laugh this much, I'm bound to have muscle pain tomorrow. I work from home, so the location doesn't matter. Thinking of our child, I thought it would be cruel to be without her mother, so I reluctantly agreed. But now, seeing this situation, I feel her selfishness is harming the child. Everything you said, Emily, was spot on. He took a deep breath and turned to Rose. What you did was blackmail. Finally, he declared, This is where our relationship ends. I will take responsibility for our child. I'll accept your blackmail as a proposal. Then, me too. I calmly made a declaration to my husband. I'll also accept that proposal. This is the end for us. Goodbye.
Wait. This situation is different since we lost the house. We're not talking about divorce anymore.
That's right. The situation has changed. This is too unilateral. The siblings raised their voices. Watching the two, Mike and I silently waved. You two created this situation. All you did was reverse what you both had selfishly decided on. Mike calmly responded. Afterward, Mike and I proceeded with mediation divorce procedures through our respective lawyers. The new house built by Rose was taken over by Mike, who lived there with their child. Of course, he also got custody of the child. Rose loved to go out and spend lavishly. As a result, the child often felt neglected and lonely, even on weekends. Now, being a single parent, Mike, Rose's ex-husband, has been trying hard to provide for their child, who has been heard saying, "I'm happy now with my dad by my side." As Rose didn't have enough income to repay the loan, Mike seems to have taken over the new house. It was surprising that she frequently traveled to the city and spent money lavishly despite her limited income. It appears that Rose's spending habits haven't changed even after the divorce, and I heard she is now deep in debt. As for the garage specially designed for the Harley, it seems there are plans to renovate it into a parking lot soon. My ex-husband, who had been working jointly with me to support our family, no longer had the luxury of owning a Harley Davidson after losing the house. He lost a significant amount in property division and had to let go of the Harley. Perhaps due to this sense of loss, he started lashing out at his lawyer and has since been drowning himself in alcohol. It feels like a dramatic storyline. On the other hand, I converted the vacant lot into a paid parking space. Due to its proximity to Chinatown, it had many users, and even with a higher fee, I was able to obtain a stable income regularly. Using the profits, I acquired a new apartment. It's a modest-sized apartment designed for single living, but it's clamping. I relax excessively in front of my large TV. Tonight, a suspense show that I have been looking forward to will be broadcast. A big screen TV, a chilled drink, and uninterrupted time. Truly a blissful moment. Having already taken a bath, I'm in full relaxation mode. No makeup, casual wear, alcohol, big screen TV, and suspense. This is the perfect combination. I turned on the TV with my favorite snacks by my side.